factors influencing the network design decisions. Uh, Basically, in this section, we examine a wide variety of factors that influence network design decisions in supply chain. So, over here, we are examining the wide variety of factors, starting from the strategic factors, comparative factors, socio-economic factors, political factors, infrastructure factors, logistic cost, customer response, macroeconomic factors. So basically, these are the factors which influence the network design decisions. We start from the strategic factor. Strategic factor is very important. Why? Because as we have already studied in chapter number 2, the st strategy of the supply chain develops from the competitive strategy. And just for your recollection of thoughts, the competitive strategy is the set of the customer needs fulfilling by the company. So for fulfilling the customer needs, the supply chain strategy develops as per the competitive strategy. So the competitive strategy is the prime factor uh, which is being followed by the supply chain strategy. So you see, it depends upon the company competitive strategy, that how they want their network to be designed. For example, what are the constraints? What are the configuration? You see, uh, if we see what are the stages of the supply chain, what are the stages of the supply chain, and what we will be insourcing and outsourcing. Everything is mentioned in the comparative strategy. And the comparative strategy, basically everything is mentioned in the supply chain strategy, and the supply chain strategy developed from the comparative strategy, as we already know. So you see, here are many examples. So the supply chain strategy is responsive as per the strategy, and sometimes it is efficient. So the company has its goal, that whether the company, for example, Zara example is there. Zara is a biggest retailer of the apparel industry, and Zara is responsive due to their competitive strategy, and due to the responsiveness, the supply chain strategy is developed accordingly. So there is another example of the convenience store. The convenience store is responsive to the customer, and due to the responsiveness of the customer, the investment in the facility is of the huge amount, and the network is designed accordingly. Okay. And if you see the Walmart is basically the everyday low price competitive strategy, and it has its supply chain strategy in which it is efficient at the best of its responsiveness, which the Walmart can deliver as per the promises. So you see, Walmart ensure the efficiency by having the less number of warehouses, and also the low density of retail outlets. So why? Because the customer is willing to travel for the low price of the product. So you see, you need to see the how you have to develop your network as per your strategy. So you may read through the book for the detailed understanding, and basically this will really help you in solving the discussion questions. The next is comparative factors. The comparative factors are very interesting. It's something which is not a common man can understand. If you see, the supply chain manager needs to see the the competitor's strategy, size, and location. The supply chain manager needs to see the competitors' strategy, size, and location when designing their supply chain network. Now it is very interesting that why the supply chain manager or the companies need to see the competitors' strategy, size, and location. So the competitor's strategy, size, and location basically helps you in generating more business, in improving your bottom line. Basically, it improves the demand, plus it improves your profit as well. So this is very critical and important for any supply chain manager to consider. You see positive externalities between firms. When we say the positive externalities means the positive environment between firms. And why the environment is positive? Because the both firms are selling the same product, and there is a little differentiation among the offerings. For example, the chase up and the nahi, you see, they are very close to each other. And another imtiaz is also very near to chase up. So you see these departmental store, or these discount stores are very near to each other. The discount stores are near to each other, and they are almost offering the same variety and almost the same kind of values given to the customer. So if they get close to each other, the large number of customers, there is a high possibility the large number of customers will be visiting to them. For example, if the both uh, Chase Up and the Imtiaz are in the same Lucky Mall, so when they are in the same Lucky Mall, so the most of the customer will be traveling to Lucky Mall only to buy from the Nahi, or to only to buy from the Imtiaz, and few customer and rest of the customer will be traveling to Lucky Mall for buying from the Chase Up. So you see the people are traveling to Lucky Mall just for these discount stores. So this is called the positive externalities when the business is increased due to the competition. When the business is increased due to the competition. So the people are coming in large numbers to the mall for shopping at Imtiaz or for shopping at Cheza. So this is important that you attract the customers in a large number. When the customers are attracted in large number, there is a high chance the customer will be visiting. For example, a customer might come for Chase Up, but can visit Imtiaz as well. And there is a chance the customer has come for Imtiaz or made their mind for Imtiaz and they can visit Chase Up. And there is a high chance that they would come to visit Imtiaz but they don't visit and they do shopping from Lucky Wall. So the business is increasing. This is called the positive externalities. When the competition between firms has really increased the business among the competitors and other as well, especially the mall business. Next is locating to split the market. This is very interesting, and you and I have already witnessed this. Basically, it happens when the company's product or the companies has no control over the price. Like petrol, you see the petrol prices are being managed by the Ogra, and the oil marketing companies, the PSO, Shell, and the others, they have no control over the prices. So what they could do, they could do two things to attract the customer, or to have the same number of customers, or get the benefit out of this condition. So basically, the Tyrol in 1997, Hotling explained a simple model first proposed by Hotling explains the issue behind this decision in 1997. Okay, there are two possibilities that the two competitors get so close to each other If the both competitors has no control over the price, it means the competitors need to be close to each other. Okay, write it down, this is the important point. If the competitors has no control over the price, then the competitors need to be close to each other. Second, if the competitors has control over the price, then the competitors need to be away from each other. Away from each other. If they will be away from each other, as away as they are, as number of customers they could get. So the uh, this is the concept given by the Hotelling. This is the Hotelling concept. Hotelling explain the issues behind the decision. So let's move on. The socio-economic factors. Socio-economic factors. What you could understand by the socio-economic factors. The See, the socio-economic factors really influence the network designing. And how come? Because of the government policies to improve the socio-economic development of the particular area. For example, you see the backward areas of the country like Balochistan, like interior Sindh. So the so what happens? The country facilitate the companies to invest in the particular region where they can get the maximum benefit out of it. For example, there is a subsidy of many kind taxes. You see, I have witnessed, few of you have already witnessed that many of the Karachi factory, many of the factories which has a huge market in Karachi, they are residing in Balochistan at the Hub Chowki. If you have ever visited, there are many factories which are located in the Hub Chowki, that is the starting of the Balochistan. So if you have visited the Gadani, not Gadani, uh, Gadani as well, and plus जो beach है कौन सा है, that is in Balochistan. I don't remember its name. So when you try to go there, so in the middle you see the hub chowki. You cross the hub chowki, and you see when you enter in the Balochistan, there is a huge number of factories there, and the purpose of these factories to get benefit out of the government facilities, and the purpose of the investment or the subsidization of the utilities and other facilities is to improve the socio-economic condition of that particular area. Achha, the next is political factors. So the political stability of the region or the country plays a significant role in the location choice. For example, as I already told you, uh, uh, there are very few companies. As we take the example of our country, there are very few factories in Sindh due to the law and order situation or the political conditions, particularly the political conditions, because the people or Vadera over there, they don't like to invest uh, there by the companies and without having their share. So they discourage the investment over there, and the political factors really discourage the investment by different companies. So the most of the companies you see are have invested in the Punjab province. So one of the reason is political factors. There are other reasons as well, but one of the reason is political factor. If you see, the other is infrastructure factors, customer response time and service level, and the total logistic cost. In infrastructure factor, you see the key infrastructure elements to be considered during network design include availability of sites and labor, proximity to transportation, terminals, rail service, proximity to airports and seaports, highway access, congestion, and local utilities. This the best example of this infrastructure factors apply. You see when you have uh, You have you ever been to superhighway? So when you travel outside the city and you want to go to the Sindh and you the upper part of the country, so you need to catch the superhighway. For catching the superhighway, you need to enter the Sarabgod first. So Sarabgod is the prime location where the many companies get these infrastructure facilities like the transportation terminal, the proximity to the market. And if we see the investment in the West Wharf investment is due to the port facility. Investment at the Kemari terminal, you see at the Kemari port or the Kepiti port, there is a lot of investment by the oil marketing companies, and they have their facilities over there. So this is the infrastructure factors. Because of the infrastructure factors, the oil marketing companies have invested at Kimadi, at Maripur, okay, and the other West Wharf areas of the city. The reason is the infrastructure factor. The next is customer response time and service level. So you see the customer response time and service level requires the investment in facility. For example, as I already mentioned before, if any company wants to give the better response to their customer, so for that the company need to invest in the number of the facilities, number of the storage facilities, number of the cross docking facilities, okay, as far as retail business. And if you see in the manufacturing or the assembling area, so we take the example of any automobile company. So automobile companies invest in the local industry. For example, we have the uh, car manufacturing in Karachi at Port Qasim. Okay, the reason of this facility is to improve the response time to the customer, because the you see the Suzuki and Toyota both have their facilities in the nearby countries, but still they have their local facility. So the local facility investment is just to improve the response time. There is no other reason for this. Okay, and the service level is also improved when you have the number of facilities, when you invest in the facility. For example, if you would like to improve the service level, you need to increase your storage capacity, you need to increase or you need to decentralize the distribution system of yours. So for that you need to improve the investment in the facilities. So you see the service level can also be improved, and the customer response also be improved when you increase the number of facilities. Next is total logistics cost. So the total logistics cost, whenever we talk about the logistics, we talk about the inventory, we talk about the uh, transportation, and we talk about the facility. So when we talk about the facility, it includes the manufacturing and the storage as well, cross docking. So you see the total logistic cost mean the cost of the cost of the inventory, the cost of the transportation, the cost of the facility. The cost of the inventory includes the cost of the physical storage, cost of capital, and any obsolescence cost. Obsolescence is expiry and other damage costs. Transportation costs include the inbound cost and the outbound cost. Inbound cost is to bring supply into the facility. Outbound cost is to deliver the output of the facility. If you see, the facility cost include the cost of the building, equipment and labor. So you see the inventory and facility cost increases as the number of facilities in a supply chain increases. Inventory and facility costs increase as the number of facilities in a supply chain increases automatically. Automatically. Whenever you increase the facility, your transportation cost increases. Sorry, whenever you increase whenever Whenever you increase the number of facilities in a supply chain, your inventory and facility cost increases. Why inventory? Because if we talk about the production, when we need to produce, we need to have the supplies. For supplies, you need to have inventory. And if we talk about the storage facilities, obviously, if you have the storage facility, you need to have the inventory. Okay, so the facility cost and inventory cost increases as the number of facility in the supply chain increases. Transportation cost decreases. This is a very important point. Transportation cost decreases as the number of facilities increases. So you see the inventory and facility cost increases and the transportation cost decreases as you increase the facilities, number of facilities. So you need to see that how much you increase the facilities, because at some point of time when you increase the number of facilities too much or too many, so you see the transportation cost increases because of the high inbound transportation cost. High inbound transportation, for example, if I have uh, 12 storage capacity in Karachi city. If I have 12 storage capacity in Karachi city, so for placing the product in the storage facility, the transport has to reach to all of the 12 facilities. For reaching the all of the 12 facilities, you need to travel a lot. So this travel, basically this is called the inbound cost. So your inbound cost really increase the transportation cost. So this happens actually. Acha, let's move on further. The macroeconomic factors. So you see the macroeconomic factors: tariffs and tax incentives, exchange rate and demand risk. So basically, when we talk about the macroeconomic factors, basically these are the factors which are not in your control, and it is in government hands. When we talk about the tariffs, it means the uh, duties. As you remember, the American president used to give threats to Chinese counterpart about the tariffs, that I will increase the tariffs. I will increase the tariffs. So what does that mean? It means that I will increase the duty whenever you product come into my country. I will put the duty on that, and because of the duty, your product will be expensive. And when your product will be expensive, it will not have the same demand as it used to be. So tariffs has very importance in the bottom line of the company, and also on the demand of the product. If you see the tax as also, tax is the direct has the direct impact on the profitability, the bottom line of the company. So if you see if there are tax incentives, then it is well and good. There are sometimes there are incentives. For example, you see there is no tariff for Pakistan to export their textile goods in Europe. Right now, it is tax free. Okay, so we can basically export to European countries our textile goods. So you see the tax incentives. Tax incentive is basically when you get the reduction in tariffs uh, in particular countries and states, just to encourage the firms to locate their facility in specific area. So basically, countries give the tax incentives to improve the investment in particular area. As I already gave you the example of Balochistan, the same happened for the countries as well. Next is exchange rate and demand risk. This is the very important factor in the international business, especially. See, the exchange rate has the real impact on the demand, because the price of the product really impact the demand of the product. For example, if one product is being sold at 100 rupees, now it is being sold at 140 rupees. So the 40 rupees difference really decrease the demand of the product. So what happens? The exchange rate really hurts the demand of the product. How come? Let me give you the example. For example, the Japanese manufacturer of automobile, they used to have plant in Japan. So after some time in the 1980s and so, the yen of the Japanese country, it started to rising up than dollar. So what happens? The production cost increases, and the USA dollar started decreasing in terms of yen. So what happened? Their revenue was less and their cost was more. Their cost was more and their revenue was less. Why? Because the US dollar was decreased in the rate, and the yen, Japanese yen, was increased in its rate. So the automobile manufacturer had no other choice to have the local manufacturing facility. Same happened with the European automobile manufacturer. They have the huge facilities in Europe, and they sell their good numbers of cars in US. So what happens when the uh, euro uh, started declining? So their profitability is starting changing. So it has really what happened. Let me tell you exactly precisely that every 1 cent rise in the euro, when the euro started rising against the dollar, so every 1 cent rise in the euro cost BMW and Mercedes roughly 75 million each per year. So would you imagine, BMW and Mercedes both were losing $5 million per month just due to the exchange rate, because the euro is keep increasing against the US dollar. So their cost is keep increasing and their revenue is decreasing due to the exchange rate of dollar. So this is I would like to tell you the detail you can also read from the book. So let's move ahead to the next slide. This is the very important framework for you to understand. This framework, what this framework tells you, this framework tells you that what is the phase 1 for designing the network, what is the phase 2, what is the phase 3, and what is the phase 4. So you see, the supply chain strategy is the first phase, and it gives input to the phase 2, that is the regional facility configuration. And basically this phase 2 gives the input to the phase 3, that is the desirable sites, desirable sites. And basically this phase 3 gives the input to the phase 4, that is location choices. So you see, this is the interdependent chart. The phase 1 is the supply chain strategy. So you see, the supply chain strategy requires the comparative strategy input. Over here, if you see, over here if you see, this is the comparative strategy. So the comparative strategy is inputting the supply chain strategy, and I guess you cannot see it clearly. This is internal constraints, capital, growth strategy, existing network. So this is the internal constraints of any company. Of capital means the uh, investment in the manufacturing facility, investment in the other kind of facility by the company. So growth strategy, this is their internal constraint, and the existing network they have already have. The global competition has also the input in the supply chain strategy. So the supply chain strategy in the network designing phase, the supply chain strategy is being fed by the comparative strategy, the global competition, and the internal constraints. So this is altogether builds up the phase 1. Let's move on to the phase 2. I will be telling you, let me tell you a bit detail about it, since we are short of time. Phase 1 starts, phase 1 starts with a clear definition of the firm's comparative strategy as the set of customer needs that the supply chain aims to satisfy. As we already discussed several times, the supply chain strategy then specifies what capabilities the supply chain network must have to support the comparative strategy. Next, managers must forecast the likely evolution of global competition and whether competitors in each market will be local or global players. Managers must also identify the existing network constraints on available capital and whether growth will be accomplished by acquiring existing facilities, building new facilities, or partnering. So this is the requirement by the manager. So based on the comparative strategy of the firm, its resulting supply chain strategy and analysis of the competition and any constraints, manager must determine the broad supply chain design for the firm. So this is the broad supply chain design for the firm. Next is the regional facility configuration. Basically, it has the 6 inputs you see all around: production technologies. Okay, production technology, as I gave you the example of the semiconductors, sometimes you need to have the very high state of the art technology. Okay, so this really gives you the scale and scope of the impact. So it has the high economy of scope and scale, since it requires the higher investment in the fixed cost. It requires the higher investment in the fixed cost, that is the production facility. This is the support required uh, about the, for example, labor, material, etc. Flexibility in the production facility. So this is all the requirement for the region facility configuration. The comparative environment is also the input, the aggregate factors and logistic cost. Okay, aggregate factors, what aggregate means: the compilation, the totality factor and the logistic cost. This is also the input of the regional facility configuration. The another one is tariffs and tax incentive, that is the macro factors we just studied before. So this is the input of the phase 2: regional demand, size, growth, homogeneity, local specification. Basically, this is homogeneity means that how many same products are being in the demand. For example, you see the margala is being demanded in Pakistan, used to be in demand in Pakistan and India both. Mashad Maruti कहते थे probably, and over here it used to be margala, if I'm not mistaken, or pure naam tha, I don't know, but the homogeneous demand was there. ठीक है, तो the size, growth and homogeneity, local specifications, this is the regional demand. What is the size forecast, what is the growth forecast, what is the requirement of the homogeneous product, what is the local specialization, what is the local specialization due to the labor and the material or the technology. And the sixth is the political exchange rate and demand risk. So this is the sixth factor, basically the political exchange rate and demand risk. These all of the six factors basically contribute to the regional facility configuration. You see the regional facility configuration. The objective of this phase is where facilities will be located, their potential roles, and their approximate capacity. So what you do, you define the potential roles, you define the location, and you also approximate the capacity. So this is all. So let's move on to the third phase. The third phase, at the end, I will be taking your questions. So I see the hand was raised by one of the student. So I will be giving you the answer. Just let me complete. This is the two phases are just left. The phase three. If you see the phase three is the desirable sites, the production method, skills need the response time you are required for fulfilling the customer promise, skills needed for producing the product, and the available infrastructure, as we already discussed. Okay, so these are the desirable sites. This is called the desirable sites, in which you talk about the skills, the response time you are required to give to the customer, and the infrastructure available to you in the particular region. The fifth is location choices. So you see the for the location choices, you need to see the up above that we look at the skills need. Over here we are looking at the labor. So what is the basic difference between the skills and the labor? Basically, skills is the particular, uh, we differentiate from the skilled labor to the common labor. So this is the common labor basically. Okay, this is the common labor. Labor is unskilled basically. Whenever the whenever the resource is unskilled, it is called labor. Okay, so the labor, material, and the site specific, it is the requirement of the factor cost. So these are all incurring the factor cost. And over here you see the logistic cost, the transport, inventory, and coordination. This is the logistic cost, and this is basically contributing to the location choices. So the location choices is decision is being made after getting the input from the desirable sites. So you see the after the phase 4, the network design decision is almost done when you have all these inputs with you. So let me take the question. If you have any question, Acha, let me give you a tip advice for this chapter. You need to read this chapter thoroughly because this chapter has the detail in that. And for attempting the discussion question, you need to read this chapter thoroughly. I am giving you the ample time. I will take you your quiz in a day or two. So what you have to do, since this chapter we have been studying this chapter for almost 2 weeks. So I hope that you already had enough time to read this chapter, and I guess you have already read this chapter, but still I am giving you few days to attempt the quiz. Plus the discussion question, I would like you to contribute in the discussion question without copying anyone, and do not look at the internet for any help. Everything is given in the book. When you read the topics which I have covered with you, so you won't be facing any need, you won't be requiring any need for anything else. So you won't be requiring any other reference if you read the book thoroughly. I am 100% sure after reading the book thoroughly, the topics thoroughly, you won't be requiring any other resource. So mark my words and start studying thoroughly. And I will be uploading this lecture for your referral, so that video lecture for your referral, so that you can get help from this lecture along the book material. So let's take your questions. Uh, Last part again. Which part? Sir, it is not visible. Huh? No issue, no worries. If it is not visible, you can read this same framework from the page 133 on the 7th edition, and in the old edition you can also see in the chapter number 5. So no worries, if it is not visible to you, it will be visible to you in the book. So I have already pronounced the invisible part.